to serve in the U.S. Senate with Tom Udall. Tom is a great U.S. Senator. We are very lucky to have Tom Udall representing New Mexico in the U.S. Senate. As he said, 2012 is an important election year for us in New Mexico and in the country. When President Obama took his oath of office in January of 2009, our economy was in a downward spiral. Many of us remember that. That month alone, we lost 800,000 jobs. 2 of our large auto manufacturers were in real danger of going out of business. And President Obama and the Democrats in that Congress acted quickly to reverse that downward spiral. We passed the President signed the Recovery and Reinvestment Act to stop that free fall in the economy. That legislation gave a tax cut to over 160 million Americans. It provided unemployment benefits for those who had lost their jobs and those who unfortunately were still going to lose jobs as we tried to dig out of the recession. It provided help for small businesses, supported programs to create jobs in the clean energy sector, which is important to us here in New Mexico, strengthened the health care safety net. It created hundreds of thousands of jobs, rebuilding the infrastructure of this country, including a lot of highways and roads in New Mexico, which I don't know how many of you saw those orange barrels around, but I saw a lot of them. And that was the Recovery Act to a very large extent. All of this was done over the strenuous objection of the Republicans in the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives. And the year after that, in 2010, Democrats once again worked with the President. We passed legislation to deal with the subprime mortgage industry, to try to eliminate the practices that had gotten us into the recession in the first place. We provided access to affordable care with the Affordable Care Act, which is going to be a very good thing for New Mexico and for the country. We gave incentives to employers to hire new employees. We provided over $12 billion in tax relief to small businesses. And we helped with funding of education and to keep teachers on the job. All of that was important. Again, all of that was accomplished in 2010 over the strenuous objection of our Republican colleagues. And now the question is the country going to continue to build on this strengthening of our economy, or are we going to go back to the policies that were in place in the Bush administration and that President Obama had to inherit? Obviously, the answer is we got to keep moving forward. Here in New Mexico, we have very important work to do between now and the election, and all of you being here on Saturday are demonstrating your commitment to that, and I congratulate you and thank you for that very much. Starting with the New Mexico legislature, we need to increase our majorities in the state House of Representatives and in the state Senate. We need to do this for the sake of the state. We also need to do it as a legacy for our Speaker, Ben Lujan, who deserves to see that as he leaves public service. In the judicial races, we need to elect Democrats to the key judicial positions in our state. In the Public Regulation Commission, we need to elect Democrats to serve on the Public Regulation Commission. And in Washington, first of all, we need to re-elect Ben Lujan. Ben Lujan, I have the good fortune, Tom and I have the good fortune to work with Ben on a daily and weekly basis, and I can tell you he's doing a great job representing the interests of New Mexico. In this district here in Albuquerque and central New Mexico, again, we need to be sure this congressional seat remains a Democratic seat. We've got 3 great candidates who are vying for that, and whichever of them prevails in this primary, we need to rally around them and be sure that they win this congressional seat. in southern and eastern New Mexico, we need a Democrat representing New Mexico in that congressional district as well. We were proud of the job that Harry Teague did. Harry Teague did a tremendous job advocating for our state, and we need that district to be Democratic again. In the Senate seat that I now hold, we need to elect a Democrat to replace me in that seat.
Yeah.
And I'm here to urge you to do that. Tom Udall does a great job in the U.S. Senate, but in the next Congress, he's going to need another Democrat working with him to be sure that we can take the positions that matter for New Mexico. We have two superb public servants who have put themselves forward. Hector Balderas, our state auditor, Martin Heinrich, our congressman. Whichever of these good men win this primary, we need to rally around that individual and elect them to the U.S. Senate.
Woo!
And finally, of course, we need to be sure that President Obama is reelected to carry on the important work that he has started. Many of you saw the great commercial that Clint Eastwood did as part of the Super Bowl. He talked about rough times that the country'd been through. He talked about people wondering how we're going to make a comeback as a nation. But he also talked about how we have always been able to find our way through tough times. He ended that commercial by saying, "It's halftime, America, and our second half is about to begin." And that's my message to you. We are approaching the halftime of the Obama presidency. We need to be sure that he stays right where he is to continue the important work he's doing. We need to keep Democrats on the field. And after the terrible mess that the other team made the last time they had a chance, when we had a Republican president, this country and this state need to keep Democrats in office so that we can keep this great country moving forward again. Thank you very much. It's great to be with you, and good luck with your convention.
Give it up for the great U.S. Senator Jeff Bingaman.